other. Are you seeing the progress, the development you want from those two?
Yeah, you know, I think it's probably more consistency. There's always been flashes of talent. They're both very talented young people.
Right.
But, you know, when you get into the speed of the game, the flow of the game, everything's happening fast. You know, not mistakes, but they slow down a little bit, you know, physically. I think that week allows them to kind of get their feet back on the ground and catch back up with the mental side of it as much as anything. But I have seen those guys grow. I saw more consistency in the work week we had last week. And I think hopefully that will correlate in the second half of the season. I mean, we talked about it during this course of this year already, much like an Andre Davis did last year and Ruben Gonzalez. They get more comfortable as it goes on, and hopefully they can become bigger factors in the offense. They play special teams. They've done some nice things, but we want them to obviously contribute more as we go on.
Is this a reset, this break? I mean,
well, yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. You know, you take a look at yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're doing well, what you're doing poorly. You get your legs back underneath you, if you're nicked, injured, all those things in an off week with some of your guys that are playing a lot of football. But really, it is truly the halfway point. Sometimes your breaks don't come at the halfway point. This one did. And that's kind of the approach we've talked with our players. Hey, we're back to game one. Let's go back to game one. We're starting the season again, and let's improve where we need to improve. Just keep on doing the things we're doing pretty well, and let's learn from your mistakes. That's anything in life. Can you correct the mistakes you make? Because you always make mistakes. The key is, can you correct them? And that's what we're going to find out here in the next 3 weeks. We've got a 3-week run here, you know, before we have another off week.
We had asked you last week about guys that could have bigger roles as you reconfigure things. Welch and Mark were both guys that picked up a lot of catches last year when he had all the injuries and haven't had a chance to do as much.
Sure.
Do you like what you're seeing there from those guys?
Victor actually played well against Temple, I remember back a couple of weeks ago. You know, he had he works hard at all camp. He just, you know, didn't have a great camp, you know, and Hoppy was playing great. You know, it's just one of those deals. A guy that, you know, was behind you and competing with you, and he's done a great job. But it was good to see. We talked to Victor. Coach Holtz talked to Victor right before the Temple game. It was good to see him respond because he's a good football player, and we need him to play that role for us. Deontay kind of got caught behind some guys, but he's a guy we look at and say at the halfway point when you evaluate yourself, he's got to play more. It's got to be more of a split rotation between him and T-Rex, because T-Rex was playing too many snaps, not because he's not a good player, but he just gets worn down, especially with his size. And Deontay's a good football player, and he needs to be involved a little bit more and have more touches, or more opportunities for touches. And I think that will come, especially the next couple of weeks.
Is playing a team like Louisville, coming off, you know, your struggles, a good opportunity to spark this thing in the right direction?
Well, yeah, it's a conference game, you know, and it doesn't really matter who it is, but obviously Louisville's having a good year. A lot of respect for those guys. Our kids know they're a good football team. We beat them up there in overtime. They beat us in the last drive, basically last year here. So they've been 2 really good ball games the 2 years we've been here against them. So I think there's a lot of respect for that team, just from our experiences the last 2 years. And obviously they're having a good year, so it gets your players' attention, obviously, that they're having a good year, and you're going on the road, so that always makes it tougher. And so I think they're excited about playing. The preparation's been good to date, and I think it's been a good opponent to get going against next.
I think Charlie's kind of a delegator in terms of letting his coordinators do their own thing, but does it help to know what his thinking is? You guys know him pretty well personally, so where you probably get a sense for tendencies and.
Yeah, they play a style, you know, it's really, you know, he and Vance were together at Florida. Vance and I were together at Colorado State like 1990-something, you know.
That's right, yeah.
So we know them all well. They're going to play the way they play. They like to be aggressive. They like to play man coverage. I remember Vance Bedford, when we did coaches clinics at Colorado State, teaching man technique. He was an All-American corner. He loved to play man and corner, you know. And I always tease him. I said, I think you still think you're playing corner, you know. But no, they play the way they play, and they're good coaches. They do a nice job. And their offensive coordinator, Sean Watson, was at Colorado when I was at Iowa State, coached against him a bunch. You know, I saw his offenses there, studied them a lot. So there's a lot of familiarity, but Charlie's got a great staff, and they've done a nice job. And, you know, the fun thing about people like this you're playing, they're good people and they're good coaches. You like to compete against these teams. You know what I mean? It's like when we used to play against Virginia Tech and East Carolina. Those are fun teams to play against because you respect them, because they're good football coaches and stuff. And that's why I get excited about this game, because you know, they're friends, but, you know, you want to compete and go beat the heck out of them if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.